Well, Brent, you did a really good job of summing up the sermon. I don't know if we need to hear any more. But I'll probably let you hear it since I practiced it and wrote it anyway. So we're not getting out of here early, in other words. Mike Snyder, the esteemed chair of our Pastoral Relations Committee, asked me a couple weeks ago if I would want to take a Sunday when Lauren was on their dental mission trip, and I must have had a moment of weakness. Back recalling when I was Pastoral Relations Chair, I kind of had a little bit of sympathy and thought, well, Mike will be up here and he'll have to give a couple, be responsible for a couple Sundays. And lo and behold, well, Mike's been fishing all weekend. And here I am doing the service. So, I'm not sure if I got the best end of this deal, but I think Mike owes me one. Okay, the themes that the services have revolved around the last few weeks is Jesus is. Brian covered Jesus is a friend. Lauren then talked about Jesus' forgiveness and faithfulness. And last week, Francie covered Jesus is the light. If you remember, we're not going to hide it under a bush, right? Oh no. That's right. I've admired as each one of them has covered the topic about different facets of what Jesus is and can be to each of us. When Lauren asked what my Sunday sermon would be around, I kind of thought about it and came up with a couple ideas, and then we kind of settled on, well, Jesus is the calm in the storm. After all, he's going to see me through this storm for the next 15 minutes or so, and I hope he's with you too. Storms, they come and go in our lives. In the gospel today, Mark writes about the day that Jesus goes out in the boat with them, falls asleep, and the disciples wake him when a storm blows up. First of all, what was Jesus doing earlier in that day that made him so tired? A bit of research, and if you go back in the scripture a little bit, it says that he was teaching. He had a sermon, and as you know, teaching and sermons and all that kind of stuff can be stressful and exhausting, right, Lauren? I've learned well this week. I'm sure Jesus was tired of preaching and wanted to get away, as I think we all understand that, and as a teacher, I guess, Kyle, we understand that, right? You need Saturday, right? So there's little doubt in my mind why he was tired and exhausted and fell asleep in the boat with the rocking and gentle waves. And I think everybody's been in a boat when it's rocking and nice and gentle, and it's easy to fall asleep if the fish aren't biting. Right, Don? There you go. In the simple act of falling asleep on the boat, though, Jesus kind of reveals some of his humanity. After those long days of teaching, he needed a rest, a respite from the people, just to be with friends and his disciples. Does that kind of sounds familiar? He went across the Sea of Galilee to a place where there were no crowds for some rest and relaxation. At least that was the plan. We all need a vacation from time to time when things get a little bit overwhelming. And this was going to be Jesus' break away from it all. And I think, most of us can relate to that. There are quite a few people that take off for Jamaica or other places this time of year just to get a break. As so often happens, that is when the storm arises. He starts off and is headed in a relaxing place, and then what happens? The storm blows up. I'm wondering why Jesus just didn't consult the Weather Channel or something like that, Didn't he know there was a storm on? Why get in a boat when there's a storm coming up? But maybe that's the point also. Maybe he was teaching at that time too. Jesus maybe knew the storm was coming. Was he teaching the disciples that no matter if the storm is coming or not, he was with them? Why should they not relax and not worry? Because Jesus was with them. But I'm sure Jesus was relaxing and fell asleep. Kind of a nap on the way to the destination. You get on the plane, kind of boring. What do? Take a little nap if you can, right? Rest, relax. Who is ever ready for the storms when they approach in our lives? Jesus' teaching had gone well. The course was set. Except then the storm came. Who can blame Jesus for wanting to stay asleep while the storm was raging? Wouldn't we all rather wait to wake up after the storm, back to the calm, and just deal with the aftermath instead of having to live through the storm and all the emotion that goes with it? The disciples, of course, must have been wondering when Jesus would wake up. As the sea began to turn and rock, and surely he's going to wake up. Mark says the boat was nearly swamped and Jesus was still asleep. I asked Noah yesterday, if the storm blows up, are you still asleep when the boat is almost swamped? What did you say, Noah? No way. Who's going to sleep through that? Who stays that calm amongst the storm? And maybe that is a point also. Besides that, who would want to wake Jesus up? He's sleeping, he's resting, he's relaxed. Who wants to wake him up? Must have been some real stoic Norwegians on that boat, don't you think? Saying something like, must be getting a little rough, Ole. Think we should wake him, Lars? Nah, it's not that bad yet. Anyway, when they wake Jesus up, they say, don't you care if we drown? Jesus says, be still, and calms the winds. Then he asks the disciples, why are you so afraid? Do you have no faith? Kind of sounds like maybe a Scandinavian farmer there too. Don't get excited. Relax. It'll be taken care of. Don't get overly excited. Just wait. It'll work out. That's something that I hear quite frequently in my job. The lesson here, of course, is even when life storms are raging, we shouldn't doubt that Jesus is with us. He will see us through the storms of life, death of a loved one, sickness, divorce, stress, even transitions in the White House. Jesus will see us through it all. He is there to calm the waters. Even when we seem to be drowning, he's there. We may reach out and ask, don't you care if we drown? Of course he cares. Does he care when we are overwhelmed with grief or distraught with pain of a situation? Absolutely he cares. That's what this is about. If you look or pay attention, Jesus is always present in the storms. We just have to pay attention. He may be present as help from another person, maybe a policeman, a preacher, or a doctor. As kids are taught, look for the helpers in a stormy situation. Look for the helpers. Now, as Brent kind of talked or referred to there at the end, maybe that's something to explore too. How can we help calm the storms? I think anyone who's gone through the storms of life values the time and calmness that others can bring to the situation. It isn't that we have the answer or the cures or anything like that. It's just the fact that we care. Listen and be there for that other person. Take time to calm the waters and have the faith that Jesus will help them through. Sometimes we need to be the hands and face of Jesus and others who are facing the storms. And that can be fairly simple, just taking the time and listening. An example that Francie alluded to last week was this church's cards making for the churches that literally went through the storms in the South. A seemingly small thing. Make a card, write a few words. Didn't take much time, didn't take much effort. But oh, how they meant so much to the recipients. Who would have thought that we're helping calm the waters of another church, of another bunch of parishioners? You never know the storms others are going through and how kindness and time can be the hands of Jesus to help them through. Small acts of kindness can have big impacts to calm the waters in people's lives. Anyone ever have an experience like that? I think we all have. In my work as a farm business management instructor, of course, I instruct families with financial matters and that type of thing. We instruct them on record keeping and help them do business analysis and plan for the future of their business. But probably the most rewarding part of the business is sitting down at the kitchen table and helping them through, their family's trials and tribulations that come out. As farmers, a lot of time their business is their life. And when things aren't going so well financially, it affects everything. It affects their relationships. It reflects a lot of different things. It is when things that aren't going so well financially that I think that's the best part of the job for me, where I can step in and I can help. The storm is blowing for them, but I can try and be the calm and remind them there's always a way out, one way or another. Usually, they're going to be fine, and I see they're going to be fine because I'm the outsider outside of the storm. But inside the storm, it's raging. So it is rewarding for me to help find the calm. Help them find the vision for their business and personal life that when it seems that there is none for them. The psalm this morning is a really good psalm for this. And the psalm says, "Give thanks to the Lord, for he is good, and his love endures forever. Then they cry out to the Lord in their trouble, and he brought them out of their distress. He stilled the storms to a whisper. Let them give thanks to the Lord for his unfailing love and his wonderful deeds for mankind." As people say, no matter your troubles, there is always something to be grateful for. Give thanks to the Lord. Be grateful and find those things that bring you peace when you have a storm. We can't avoid life's storms. They will come whether we like them or not. Personally, I don't like the storms of life. I don't mind a good weather storm, but the storms of life I can do without. I dread the drama. I like calm seas. Some say life is not about the storms, but it's learning to dance in the rain. I'm not I'll go with that. Lars, he learned to seek the calm in the storm. You see, he had been visiting a local establishment, and, he wasn't feeling real well when he left. And the minister saw him on the way out, and he could see he needed some help to get home safely. So he drove Lars home and was going to drop him off, but Lars knew better and invited the minister in. When the minister asked Lars why he wanted to come in, Lars said, "Well, I want Lena to see who I've been out with." See, Lars knew how to calm the storms. I like to think it is looking for the calm in the storm and finding the things that will calm the storm. Jesus is the one who will calm the storm for us and with us. I challenge you to look for him when the storms are raging, or when the storm in someone else's life is raging. Be the calm. Be the face and hands of Jesus. The last two songs we will be singing is "Great is Thy Faithfulness" and "Amazing Grace." And you betcha. And they remind us of Jesus' faithfulness when the storms blow up. I'm kind of a classic hymn type of person, so I got to choose these two. So as the songs go, through many toils and snares in your life, remember, Jesus and God are faithful.